Great Scott, this is heavy. Back to the Future turns 40 years old. Back to the Future is an American movie classic. It is timeless, no pun intended, but it's just a genius concept of a person living their teenage life in the 80s, going back in time and running into their parents at the same age, but in the 50s, and being a fish out of water. There's so much comedy there. And this is one of the films where I actually watched the original film last. I caught it on USA. And I remember they showed Back to the Future 2 and 3 a lot. And I remember one of my father's cousins we visited, he had Back to the Future 2 on VHS, and that's when I saw it fully. It was introduced to Beat It by Michael Jackson with the Cafe 80s, the hoverboard, alternate timelines, and that was a great cliffhanger to Back to the Future Part 3. And I didn't see this one until TNT, and it was crazy to see how they censored it, you know, where it was like, when this baby hits 88 miles, you're going to see some serious stuff, instead of like, when this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're going to see some serious shit. It's like, what happens? Become jerks or something? It's like, what happens? Become assholes or something? It was interesting seeing the PG of the 80s, but it wasn't until my parents got me my first DVD set with the Back to the Future trilogy, when it arrived on DVD for the first time, that I saw it fully, like uncensored. I had a previous recording from Encore, and I love this movie. This is one of a kind that didn't really plan on having a sequel, you know? It was kind of like a joke at the end that turned out to be something much bigger, you know? Where we're going, we don't need roads. I love that ending, but who could forget the soundtrack? Huey Lewis in the News, Back in Time, Power of Love. We almost didn't have Michael J. Fox as Marty McFly. Originally, it was Eric Stoltz, and they shot portions of it. Now, you could have an idea of like parallel universes now, but one thing that makes Back to the Future timeless, and this trilogy as a whole, is unlike every other franchise now, they've left it alone, and because of that, it remains pure, and it hasn't been touched. It stands the test of time. 40 years later, this movie is just among one of those that cannot be remade. I mean, you can try to, but it'd be a sin. It'd be like remaking Ferris Bueller's Day Off or The Godfather. Like, don't bother. It was great seeing Christopher Lloyd here as Doc Brown, Michael J. Fox, right around the time of Family Ties, playing Marty McFly, Crispin Glover as George McFly. Wow, he's pathetic, but then you root for him at the same time. Leah Thompson as Lorraine Baines McFly. And who could forget Claudia Wells as the original Jennifer? Thomas F. Wilson as Biff. Hello, McFly. Anybody up there? Think, McFly, think. And there's some kind of creepy things in here as far as like Marty and his mother and what Biff wants to do to Lorraine. Like, when you think about it, it's like, yeah. But then you also have Earth Angel on the soundtrack. Who could forget Johnny Be Good? I love that. I love that nod there. The beginning of how we're introduced to Marty McFly, and then Doc Brown's there. And there's some foreshadowing of the film with the clock tower and certain events that kind of make you wonder, like, whoa, did he already live through this, you know? Twin Pines Mall becoming Lone Pine Mall. Some cool little Easter eggs and like nods there with time travel that they pay attention to, the attention to detail. And Robert Zemeckis directed this. He tried to pitch it a couple of times, and it wasn't until the success of Romance in the Stone that he was able to get this off the ground with Steven Spielberg. It's iconic now, but back then would be kind of considered a joke of like, you made a time machine out of a DeLorean? But it's just so iconic, the look of it. I just love the friendship with Doc, seeing Marty, and then him even getting annoyed at the clock tower pamphlet. Save the clock tower! That piece of paper saves his life. How his parents are introduced in this like dysfunctional kind of sad marriage. And then Marty helping his friend Doc Brown. A science experiment with Einstein and time travel. That iconic scene there. Marty, it's the Libyans! And then, of course, crashing through and looking like an alien. And then the predicament he's in, you know? Having to find a way to get back to the future, or else he's erased from existence, you know? It's bad enough that he's stuck in the past. He accidentally meddles with his father and mother ever meeting. That's a pretty big no-no. Like, he has to basically fight for his existence in this. I love the scene at the school, and then seeing younger Doc Brown is just like, Ronald Reagan, the actor? And then I love it when George McFly has a kick me sign. He's like, okay, enough guys, okay. And then he's just like, you sure you weren't adopted? He's like, there's that word again, heavy. Who could forget Principal Strickland? You're a slacker. It's like that guy never had hair. But I just love the plot of this and how Marty not only has to like kind of fend off his mother having the hots for him in a creepy way, but he has to help his father out. And inadvertently, he does change time by basically fighting for his very own existence and fighting for the relationship of his mother and father. He actually makes things better in a way. And there is some nods with the father's book that he might have been aware of time travel and Marty lighting the living room on fire and stuff. I just love it where there's a deleted scene where he actually drugs George McFly, but like it's a scene in the movie where he's like, hello, I am Darth Vader from planet Vulcan. I just love the little differences of like he doesn't know how to use a bottle opener machine and then George McFly just does it in 2 seconds. It's like that's the way it would be if we went to our parents' time, and it's weird. It's a unique story. Who could forget the lightning strike? The clock tower sequence is just pure cinema all the way to the end, and then the flying car. The original release just had credits, but then in subsequent releases it had to be continued. And it did continue in a brilliant way with Back to the Future Part 2 and 3. A perfect, underrated trilogy, up there with like Toy Story trilogy and like the Before trilogy for me. Indiana Jones kind of had this vibe too before they touched it with 4 and 5, and I'm glad they didn't do that with Back to the Future. But outside of an animated show, you also had the Telltale series video game, which is kind of like a spiritual Back to the Future 4, kind of like how Ghostbusters, a video game, is basically Ghostbusters 3, or like RoboCop Rogue City is RoboCop 2.5. That's kind of how I see it, and it's just a film that has remained iconic and has never gotten old. I can watch it no matter if it's on TV, if I feel like putting on the Blu-ray. This is a film, all 3 of them really, but the original I can watch over and over and it won't get boring. It's just lightning in a bottle. Lightning in a flux capacitor, to say the least. I remember watching this on DVD. I remember watching Michael J. Fox on Family Ties, but then a show I really loved at the time when I was a kid was Spin City, so watching this was cool. And with this condition, seeing how all the actors and all the roles they've been, it's just interesting looking back on this piece of film history. I'm just mad that we don't have any flying cars right now. I would have loved to be in that timeline, believe it or not. And have a Cafe 80s to have a Pepsi free, I just wanted to briefly share my memories of Back to the Future. Share your memories of when you first saw this iconic motion picture down in the comments below. Stay safe and healthy, everyone. Till next time.